Hey, welcome to the channel. Also, disclaimer. If you clicked on this video, that probably means you want to learn how to tween. What are you doing in my house? Well, you've come to the right video. Let's get started. I would also like to mention that you should watch one of my older tutorials in my tutorials playlist, because this video assumes that you already know how to use Gacha Life 2. You will also need a pretty decent computer with a totally legal copy of Adobe Anime and Adobe Media Encoder. So, before we can start working on our masterpiece, we need an idea. You may also want to have something you can use to store your idea. For example, I have a notebook. Now we gotta think of an idea. I know. BF throws Jonesy off a 12th-story balcony while Beth and Hope watch helplessly. Hopefully you can come up with a better title. Now that we have our idea, let's go to our script. My least favorite part. The best place to do this is on Google Docs. Start with a plot outline. Each bullet point represents a scene in our script we're cooking up. Once that's done, make another header labeled Scene 1 right underneath it. Also, have stage directions. These are lines of italicized text inside of asterisks. They contain information about what characters you're using, where they are, what they're doing, and the time of day. You can also place them right after a character's name to indicate what sound effects to use. I typically use whatever sound effect is appropriate for the situation. Also, this probably goes without saying, make sure the dialogue makes sense for the situation too. You're done with your script? Oh my god. It's a freaking masterpiece! Considering this is your first time, you probably don't have any characters to use. For example, I have a rig for everyone except for the adult version of my OC Beth. So let's make one. In Gacha Life 2, make a custom pose that has a character's limbs detached, since Gacha Life 2 doesn't have a body sheet feature. Next, strip them of any personality. It wouldn't be a bad idea to take screenshots of exact parts used and their adjustments, just in case you have garbage memory like me. Make a screenshot for every part and crop them so they just fit within the image. Do the same with hair, belt buckles, skirts, etc. Now for eyes, mouths, and eyebrows, you will need to take screenshots for each part for every possible emotion. But we can skip that part since I have presets for mouths and GF's eyes. Now that we're in Ibis Paint X, all you have to do is line the parts up with where they are on the background screenshot, while also using the paint bucket to get rid of the green. You may have to play with settings. The layer should look something like this. When you're done, just save it as a preserved layer PSD file and upload the image to Google Drive. On your computer, download your PSD and open your totally legally obtained copy of Adobe Animate. Create a new file, scribble on the canvas with your brush tool, and click on the layer on your timeline. Hit F8 and name the graphic your character's name. Use the selection tool and double click your scribble to open the graphic. Drag and drop your PSD and import it as is. Just make sure all the layers are checked off or you'll be missing parts. You can now delete the layers with the scribble on it. Also, delete all the layers with eyes, mouths, and eyebrows since they'll get their own graphic. Make your head and hair invisible so you can line up a face. For each part, place the first one, create a graphic, open it up, and put the next part on the next frame. You're done adding the face? Well, good. Now add 1 second's worth of frames. I usually go with 30 FPS since that's the default. On your face layers, go to Properties, Object, and set it so that it only plays 1 frame at a time. Now, on any part that moves, so your head, limbs, and hair, set them as classic tweens. I'll explain what that does later. Then go to the first frame of a free transform tool and move the pivot point, the white dot, to where it makes sense for that part. Keep in mind the pivot point is an object center of rotation, meaning when you rotate it, it'll rotate from there. It may take a couple tries to get it, so remember where Control and Z are. Next we'll parent our parts to each other. I know this looks intimidating, but try to remember arm to shoulder, shoulder to body, face and hair to head, head to body, leg to thigh, thigh to body. If you did it correctly, when you move the body, every other part will follow. Now go to your library tab. Right click on my graphic we made before and click Save as Asset. What this means is that you can use this graphic in a different project. Create another anime project. Dimensions should be 1920 by 1080. Rename the first layer to BG and put whatever you want there. Next, import your characters. They should automatically create layers when imported. You may have to play with their sizes and directions though. Next, double click on a character, select their eyes and choose an appropriate expression. Do the same for the mouth and eyebrows if your character has them. To change your pose, select a part and rotate it. Repeat for everyone else. Next, go to File, Export, and Image. Then click Save. Upload a file to Google Drive to put in either PaintX or do it on a desktop photo editing program if you think it needs more work. Now that we're ready to animate, create a new animate file and call it Video Title 1. Mainly because each scene gets its own project file or else my computer will scream in agony. Anyway, rename layer 1 to text and leave 2 seconds blank. Then on the next keyframe, use the text tool and copy your text from your script. You will have to play with timing, but the text should give the viewer enough time to read and understand. Do not assume everyone shares a reading speed with you. When you're done with your text, the animation process is the same as the thumbnail, but you'll have to manually add frames to your character so they end at the same time as your text. Also, when you make a change on not frame 1, another keyframe will be created with smooth movement between the two. When you make a motion, if you select the first frame of a motion, you can set ease, which basically means the object speed will change during the motion. For limb or head movements, I usually go for ease out sign. Now repeat that multiple times across multiple projects. When you're done animating, select File, Export, Video/Media. You should get this pop-up. If you're happy with these settings, click Export. Your totally legal copy of Adobe Media Encoder will automatically open and process a file. Once you've done this with all your files, save them to Google Drive if you're using a mobile video editor. We're doing audio in the editing stage since while Animate does support audio, it's easier to do so in post. If you need help finding sound effects, I usually just get them from SMG4 sound effects playlists on YouTube. When you want to add a sound effect, split your clip on the first frame of the line so you can snap your audio to it. When you play your video back, you may notice some form of this. These bars tell you whether or not your audio is too loud. A good rule of thumb is that background music should always be kept in the green, while sound effects should be in the yellow, but it's okay if they go a little red. I would also add transitions and other effects in your video editor too. When you're done, play back your work of art and save it. Congratulations, you just tweened your first man-made horror beyond my comprehension. Give yourself a pat on the back. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.